All right, so we're back here on a special Couch Coach Live. We got our guy Zach from the Bluebloods podcast. What's going on, Zach?
What's going on, man? Appreciate you having me.
Hey, no problem, no problem. And we definitely, we are, a day away from the national championship. We got Alabama versus Georgia, so we definitely had to do a Natty preview. And that's how, in the South we call it the Natty. So we had to. And plus, it's way shorter than the national championship. So
Yeah, and now they want to be like the 2022 college football playoff national championship presented by
yeah.
somebody in Indianapolis. Like you got to shout out everybody in the name of the game now. It's gotten way too long.
Yep, you got to make it short, simple, and to the point. We all have a short attention span, so you're gonna lose me at present. You're gonna lose me at national championship. National. You're like what? Like because you're already saying like 4 or 5 other phrases to it. So yeah, we got a great matchup on Monday night when we have Georgia versus Alabama. So Zach, one of my key questions I want to ask you. What is the storylines heading into this matchup?
I mean, I think you've got to start with just the greatness of Nick Saban at this point, man. I mean, it's at the point now, Coach, where I would say, I mean, is it even a debate anymore? Really and truly, if Nick Saban wins this national championship, who do you even put in the conversation? Because I don't think Bear Bryant can hold a candle to what Nick Saban has been able to accomplish, not only at Alabama, but also in his career. Because it stretches back to that '03 national championship that he had at LSU. He's going for 10 rings in the coming years, and it's a record, and it's an accomplishment that I don't think there's many coaches in the future that are ever even going to have a chance to sniff at this point. And then on the flip side, you have the monkey on their back of this Georgia football program that they've had over these past few years, where they've come so close. The year they got to the championship and Tua hits the 2nd and 26 pass. There's years where you're wondering, if they start Justin Fields, do they win the championship? It's just, what if after what if? If Aaron Murray throws a swing pass in the SEC championship, do they go in 2012? And it's just a bunch of what could have happened since 1980. And also, you have Kirby Smart fighting off the stigma of, I'm just another Mark Richt, where I can do 9, 10, 11 wins a year, win a SEC championship or so, but I can never win the big one. And I'm always going to have that Nick Saban-sized monkey on my back. So it's a redemption story on one side and proving themselves, while Nick Saban is just engaging in gluttony and saying, I'm just going to win every national championship till I decide to finally retire. So it's Goliath. As much as a lot of people like to look at it as Goliath versus Goliath, I mean, really and truly, we have a David here, because Georgia has not been Georgia against Alabama. They actually, Couch Coach, have not beaten Alabama since Nick Saban's first year in 2007.
And that's about 15 years. Well, it's 15
Exactly.
years.
I wasn't even.
Wow.
I wasn't even. I was still like in elementary school, man, when that happened. So it's been a long time.
Wow. And like you said, yeah, Nick Saban, what he's done is impressive. And it's probably unprecedented, especially now in the landscape of college football, where, we're looking at just all the other trappings of college football. And guys and coaches aren't going to be staying for long periods of time, especially like what Saban is doing. And like you said, and I think always Georgia's biggest issue was the quarterback. Like, as far as they're always good everywhere else, but that quarterback position has always been the one. And like you said, Aaron Murray, yep, Jake Fromm, Justin Fields is the backup, and all that's concerned. But yeah, so almost to the day, these two teams did play in a national championship. This was the 26-23 overtime thriller. The 2nd and 26 play with Tua to Devontae Smith, the future Heisman Trophy winner, and Devontae Smith, and he was just at that time was just a freshman, a fish in a sea, but now he's a big dog now at this point. And I know it's always, we always think about comparisons or what have you, and I know sometimes that could be, that's somewhat of a tricky area with that gray area when it comes to that. But can you see this game that's played on Monday night? Could it live up to that same hype as the 2018 national championship?
Man, that's setting the bar real high. I mean, really and truly, it's like, man, just have it. I mean, that's like the pinnacle of these college football playoff games. When you look, it's that 2016 game against Clemson and Alabama that came down to the last play when Deshaun Watson just absolutely carried them on their back. It's that Natty, and I mean, you could even go back to the 2013 Natty, Florida State, Auburn. That's a tall task to ask, and really and truly, it could live up to it because you have so many storylines, you have so many game changers on both sides of the ball with Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis on Georgia's defense. You got Bryce Young, Jamison Williams on Bama's offense. Of course, Will Anderson. Of course, the staple of running backs of Georgia, including James Cook, who I think is going to be huge in this game. I think absolutely it could live up, but really and truly, Couch Coach, if this game could live up to 60, 70% of what that 2018 Natty was, I'll absolutely take it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that one was an instant classic, to say the least. So, are there any particular matchup that you're looking forward to in the Natty?
Yeah. I mean, I think the one that should interest everybody is Alabama's offensive line going to out physical Georgia again on that front seven. I mean, if you look back at the SEC championship, they pushed that front seven around where we never saw the Georgia front seven lose a battle all throughout the season, in my opinion. I mean, they dominated everybody. Alabama's O line came in struggling after giving like 8 sacks up to Auburn and Jordan Hare, and they just manhandled the Georgia front seven. Jordan Davis didn't have a big game. Adam Anderson, Kobe Dean, anybody, they weren't able to get penetration. They weren't able to get to Bryce Young. That's a matchup that's good on good, strength versus strength. And Alabama dominated that matchup back in early December. If Georgia can't turn it around and win that matchup, I have serious doubts about their ability to win this national championship. And then, of course, the other matchup, man, Stetson Bennett versus the Alabama secondary. It's a bit banged up. Josh Jobe is out, of course, for Alabama. And then they had some people get banged up in the Cotton Bowl against Cincinnati, and they were starting a JUCO corner who had saw no action all season long. So they're very thin on the back end of that Bama defense. Is Stetson Bennett going to be able to hold his own and avoid turnovers is the other big thing. And of course, can someone other than Brock Bowers establish themselves in that passing game? In the SEC championship, the true freshman tight end, like over 10 catches, over 100 yards receiving, but Pickens, none of those other wide receivers, Darnell Washington, Adonai Mitchell, any of those guys created anything down the field for Georgia. So they have to have some wide receivers step up to help Stetson Bennett. And with the Alabama secondary, they should have an opportunity to do that.
Big time, big time. And also, some X factors for first Georgia and then also for Alabama. Some X factors in this game.
I'll do one on each side of the ball for each of these guys. On offense for Georgia is James Cook. He was banged up in the SEC championship game. Of course, Dalvin's little brother, and we know what Dalvin's doing in the NFL year in and year out. And James Cook offers that same type of versatility and explosiveness. If you go back and watch that Orange Bowl against Michigan, he was the leading wide receiver and dominated out of the backfield, and hit that deep route to score early in that game. He has to be versatile. He has to go to make Alabama put some pressure on those linebackers to make plays in the open field. Losing him, not having Milton, not having some of the running backs that they had last time really hurt them. James Cook is definitely the offensive X factor for Georgia. Now on defense, I think it's going to be the two corners, De'Aaron Kendrick and Keely Ringo. Jamison Williams embarrassed them in early December. Jamison Williams was just a matchup nightmare. Keely Ringo and De'Aaron Kendrick have to lock that down. 2 5-star guys. Of course, Kendrick transferred in from Clemson. Ringo has been there his whole career. They have to step up and show why they were 5 stars, show that they can be the dominant corners that they've always been throughout the season for Georgia. Now, for Alabama, the X factor on offense, man, is there any other guy that you could name outside of Bryce Young? This kid has been spectacular this year. He wasn't the focal point of the offense last weekend, but this weekend they're going to need a big game from Bryce Young, and I think they're going to get it. If Bryce Young has a game like he did in Atlanta in the SEC championship game, Alabama is winning the Natty. I'm just going to put it like that. If he has a game like he did a few weeks ago, they're going to be impossible to beat. Then on the defense, of course, it's Will Anderson. That kid is unblockable at times, had 2 more sacks against Cincinnati. He was snubbed from the Heisman. Aiden Hutchinson is not a better player than Will Anderson. And Will Anderson, of course, is an absolute game wrecker. Wrecked the SEC championship game, has wrecked multiple games this year. If they can't block Will Anderson, Georgia's going to have a long day.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're beating the drum just like Roman Harper. Remember Roman Harper went off. Like
yeah, man. He had more sacks. He had more tackles for loss. He played for a better team. Like, I don't know how Aiden Hutchinson snuck his way in there.
Probably by beating Michigan. I mean, beating Ohio State. That's probably what it was. And just
that's true.
That raw emotion. That's what I think. So I look at that selection as like that was interesting. But yeah, Roman Harper went off. That was hilarious. But it was true. But it was just comical. But yeah. So keys to a Georgia win.
I would say the keys for the offense is efficiency and no turnovers. That's the that's like the 2 things you have to beat Alabama. Stetson Bennett has to be efficient, your run game has to be effective, and you just need to move the ball slowly and surely down the field. You don't have to have explosive touchdowns every drive. Just wear down Alabama, give your defense a rest, and keep them fresh. And, of course, Alabama's too good for you to turn the ball over all game long. If Stetson Bennett catches the interception bug, you're fumbling, putting your defense in bad positions, it's going to be a long day for you. And on defense, limit the explosive play. You cannot allow Jamison Williams and Bryce Young to go out there and just be tossing the ball around like it's like you're playing in the backyard with no defense. You have to make Alabama drive down the field, and you have to try to force Bryce Young to be uncomfortable in the pocket. So to limit explosive plays is going to be the number one thing for Georgia, and it's the number one thing that killed them in Atlanta against Alabama in the SEC championship.
And let's see, your keys to a Alabama win.
Put the ball in Bryce Young's hand. That's it. I mean, and this is my thing. I know everyone's like, well, that seems very simple. It's like when you have a player of that caliber and he's that good and he's the reigning Heisman winner, that's what you recruit a Bryce Young to Alabama to do, is win you a national championship. You don't go and recruit a 5-star quarterback out of California, him win the Heisman, and take the ball out of his hands in the biggest moment. If he's that guy, prove to me you're that guy. We're going to put the ball in your hand, and I need you to go throw us to a national title. Mac Jones did it. We've seen Deshaun Watson do it for Clemson. We saw Cam Newton do it for Auburn, except Tim Tebow. Go down the list of great quarterbacks. Vince Young. Those teams said, if you're that guy, we're putting the ball in your hand, and we need you to go win us a natty. That's what Alabama has to do on the offensive side of the ball, is say, Bryce Young, you're that guy. Go win us the game. And on defense, get to the quarterback. Make Stetson Bennett doubt himself. I think we can both speak to the difference in demeanor that we saw in Atlanta compared to what we saw in Miami just about a week ago. He looked so confident in command of the offense against Michigan because he was comfortable. Against Alabama, he had no idea what he was doing. He didn't know where he was being indecisive. His feet were jittery. He was making bad decisions with the ball. If you're Alabama, make Stetson Bennett have nightmares about Will Anderson, because if you can get to him and create and make them one-dimensional, Alabama has an excellent shot to win this national championship.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, for Alabama, is keep it simple. Like you said, you got a guy that's that prolific, and like you said, we just seen him literally a month ago torch the same team. So, hey, like you said, you don't deviate from that at all. So let's see, we got prediction time. Who's winning the natty? We can give you the $1 million question. Who is winning the natty?
Oh man, this one's so tough for me, because I just I've been going back and forth, man. But like when I did my episode on the national championship, I went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. But I'm gonna ride with Georgia, man. And I know that might sound crazy given what I've said, but one, it's very tough to beat a team twice in a row, especially in such a short amount of time. And I really do think that loss in Atlanta in the SEC championship was the wake up call that Georgia needed. They thought they were riding high, they thought they were unbeatable, and they got brought back down to earth. Like what's the old saying? Everyone thinks they're untouchable until they get touched, and Georgia got touched in the SEC championship. So for me, I think it was a wake-up call, and also I do think the loss of John Mechie is going to be huge in this game, because it's going to allow Georgia to solely focus on Jamison Williams and make Ja'Cory Brooks be that guy to beat them. I have Georgia in a close one, man. I got Georgia 24, Bama 21 this Monday in Indianapolis.
Oh, nice. Yeah, absolutely. So let's put a bow on this college football Natty preview. So Zach, tell them where they can find your social media and then any upcoming project that you got going.
Yeah, I mean, you can find us on all social media at @_Bluebloods, and on YouTube, just type in the Bluebloods or the Bluebloods CFP podcast. We got our national championship preview, recruiting updates, player interviews, everything like that. So make sure to go check that out there. Then, of course, find us on any and all podcast streaming platforms. And, of course, you can find both of us on the Off the Ball Network, man. Great content over there, especially with college basketball ramping up. So make sure to go check out us on that platform as well.
Yes, and absolutely. Yeah, definitely check out what we do here at the Off Ball Network. Also the Draft Capital, NFL Draft Capital show. I know we'll be a part of that as well, part of that experience. That'll be on Thursday nights, 8:00 Eastern Standard Time. So definitely huge shout out to our guy Mo, and also and our guy and I got Stu, aka I always call him the pretty much the what's good Todd McShay, kind of, our draft guy. So
man, you catch me and Stu's rivalry reinvigorated on the Draft Capital.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And once again appreciate you for coming on the preview the Natty. And yeah, man, definitely a great game. I think definitely going to be an instant classic. Two of the best teams in college football. Like we would say that from the beginning, that we looked at, it was Alabama and Georgia in the field, essentially. So it is here. It is that, so we, as predicted, these two teams were going to matching up in the national championship. And once again, appreciate you for coming on. And this wraps up a special edition of Couch Coach Live. And we'll catch you on the next episode.